They want $3.5 billion for something that'll turn out to be fraudulent. That's election money, basically. They want $3.5 billion for the mail-in votes. Okay, universal mail-in ballots. $3.5 trillion. They want $25 billion for the post office. Now, they need that money in order to have the post office work so it can take all of these millions and millions of ballots. Now, in the meantime, they aren't getting there. By the way, those are just two items. But if they don't get those two items, that means you can't have universal mail-in voting because they're not equipped to have it.
That was President Trump moments ago. Still at it. Knows he's going to lose. Weighing in on the stalemate over the next economic stimulus deal. Does not want that post office to get money.
Well, again, despite the fact that his own negotiators are already there because they understand the United States Post Office needs the money desperately.
Especially in a pandemic. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, attempts to revive the stalled coronavirus relief talks yesterday yielded more finger-pointing than deal-making. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin reached out to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, but their conversation effectively went nowhere. Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer released a statement reading in part, quote, Democrats have compromised repeatedly. We have made clear to the administration that we are willing to come down $1 trillion if they come up $1 trillion. However, it's clear that the administration still does not grasp the magnitude of the problems that American families are facing. Mnuchin hit back in a statement of his own, claiming that, quote, it's not an accurate reflection of our conversation. Pelosi made clear that she was unwilling to meet to continue negotiations unless we agreed in advance to her proposal costing at least $2 trillion. The Democrats have no interest in negotiating. Joining us now, the Speaker of the House, California Democrat Nancy Pelosi. And Madam Speaker, welcome back to the show. It's great to see you. I want to start with the post office. Good morning. I just, is there any scenario in which you all come to a deal and get something passed that does not include the post office getting shored up?
Well, good morning, Mika. Good to see you. Let me just say this. It was so strange to hear the Secretary's statement because he exactly quoted what happened in our meeting and what we said in our statement. Come in with $2 trillion and then we can negotiate how we spend that. So it was weird. I think they're losing it in some respect. Here's the thing. In the legislation, we have $25 billion. That is the number that is recommended by the Board of Governors of the U.S. Postal Service, a bipartisan Board of Governors, 100% appointed by Donald Trump. They recommended $25 billion. Earlier, in earlier COVID bills, the president has stood in the way of any money for the Postal Service. If the president read the Constitution, he will say that the Postal Service is memorialized there, and Congress has a role in all of this. So, again, when they're talking about the post office, they're talking about the fact that in 2019, for example, an enormous amount of medicine, let me just say, 1.2 billion prescriptions, 1.2 billion prescriptions were delivered through the mail. Almost 100% of the Veterans Health Administration's prescriptions going through the mail. So they're hurting seniors. It's a health issue in 2019. It's even more so in the time of the pandemic. So when the president goes after the Postal Service, he's going after an all-American, highly approved by the public institution. Like, as we would say before you were born, motherhood, apple pie, the Postal Service, an all-American institution. I heard you earlier talk about what it means in terms of connecting family. We're talking here about how it delivers medicine. And again, at the time of a pandemic, how necessary it is for us to have the mail so that the people do not have to choose between their health and their vote. They can vote absentee. And by the way, the president's family was all out in California urging absentee ballot during the special election in the spring. So this is nonetheless yet again another, shall we say, contradiction.
Yeah. So you're telling us that Donald Trump's own appointed Board of Governors, the United States Post Office, is asking for $25 billion. So you're actually just trying to deliver what the Board of Governors that Donald Trump appointed is saying the United States Post Office needs, right?
That's right. Actually, they asked for more. I asked for another $25 billion for infrastructure, logistics, trucks and all that, but we put that in our moving forward infrastructure bill, which we hope the president would support, but not in this bill. This is what is necessary now. Now, again, this is a matter of negotiation about timing for how long. And as you indicated, there had been some I don't want to confirm anything, but I don't know how you get your information. But there is a reason to believe that they were willing to go to $10 billion. But the president did exactly what he did in previous COVID bill, stood in the way. But this is in the context of not understanding the gravity of the situation, as Chuck and I, Leader Schumer and I said in our statement. We are in a situation where this is, the president makes this like the only part of the discussion, this and the absentee ballots. He calls it absentee. We're happy to call it that. He says mail-in is bad, absentee is good. Okay, call it absentee. But the money's not just for that. The money is for a healthy way to vote, whether it's absentee or if in person, with the correct spacing, the number of polling places, again, to accommodate the space that is needed, the timing, the number of days, and the rest for that to happen. So the money is not just about absentee ballots. But again, this happens at a time when they're not facing the facts of it. One of the big stumbling blocks, of course, is that they don't want to do what is necessary for state and local government. There is bipartisan support in the Senate for that, but they have an ideological opposition. As Mitch McConnell said, let them go bankrupt. So that's what we're working back from. But if we're going to educate our children, we have to have the facts in terms of what is needed. And they're rejecting the expert testimony, recommendations of the American Association of Superintendents of Schools. They said, we have our own numbers. Those are just numbers. We have our own numbers. But they don't meet the needs of our children. And if you're going to educate children, it's not just about our federal dollars in emergency, which are essential. It's about state and local government, which do over 90% of the educating of our children. So it's about the children.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.